The Chairman of the Presidential Task Force, Honorable Ministers, members of the PTF, gentlemen of the press, good evening. As mentioned by the Chairman, we had a 2-day retreat last week. It's one of the reasons why we didn't have a media briefing on Thursday. And this gave us the opportunity to reflect on what we have done over the last 3 months, look at the opportunities that we may have missed, and also think about what needs to be done over the next 3 months of the PTF. We have interfaced with our partners as well as the public, and we have listened to your comments. Moving forward, we will ensure reinforcement of non-pharmaceutical interventions because it's very clear there's been a progressive and gradual drift in compliance. We will increase our public awareness and campaigns because there is no vaccine for COVID, there's no preventive therapy. The only thing that will get us out of this pandemic is by changing our behavior. We will also improve our engagement with states. We know from the experience of other countries that political commitment at the highest level is essential if the COVID response is going to be successful. Mixed messages or body language that suggests that COVID is not a problem ends up being replicated at the population level and results in increased transmission. We'll also improve our coordination with the private sector and increase testing, which continues to be low compared to where we need to be. In view of this, we have also looked at our implementation guidelines, and I think it is the right time to reiterate the current guidelines that we have on the eased lockdown, since it's been about 10 days since we started the phase 2 extension of the eased lockdown. As you're aware, the eased lockdown was primarily to sustain the gains of the earlier phase of the response while allowing additional sectors of the economy to operate. We did this in order to achieve the desired balance between saving lives and ensuring that the well-being and livelihood of our citizens are protected. Therefore, I would like to reiterate the guidelines which started on the 1st of July. In terms of curfew, we continue to maintain a nationwide curfew from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. For transportation and travel, both interstate and intrastate, movement across state borders is allowed, but only according to curfew times. Vehicles should preferably be for short distance trips. The windows should be preferably open. Observation of non-pharmaceutical interventions is critical, and in this regard, the PTF is strongly recommending that those above the age of 60 years stay at home, and not only stay at home, but avoid interacting with other members of the public outside their immediate bubble. The aviation industry has resumed limited domestic flights with the provision of sanitizers and appropriate PPEs. They also have designated areas and procedures to isolate passengers with suspected COVID-19 infection, ensure crowd control and queuing discipline so that we have social distance maintained, as well as providing additional training for COVID-19 staff and all other non-pharmaceutical interventions. We are pleased with the measures put thus far by the Ministry of Aviation, and we will continue to work with aviation as well as the general public to ensure that this does not pose a risk when it comes to increased transmission of COVID. Linked to this is the need to make sure that people wear face masks in public. And again, we would like to emphasize the principle of no mask, no entry, no mask, no services should be provided in public spaces, including government offices, as well as the private sector. In terms of working hours, we continue to maintain normal working hours based on curfew arrangements apart from government offices, recommending a 75% capacity while adhering to other non-pharmaceutical interventions. Only essential staff of grade level 14 and above are to work in government offices from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Mondays to Fridays. Physical meetings from the government side are strongly discouraged. Only virtual meetings should preferably be held until the end of the pandemic. We are also recommending to the private sector to continue to maintain virtual meetings. By opening our airspaces, we are not saying that people should start roaming all over the country for meetings that can be held virtually. It is still safer for you to keep in one place rather than moving around. Markets, the opening of shops should be based on arrangement by local authorities while observing all mandatory non-pharmaceutical interventions. We call on the security services to ensure that those places that we have advised to remain closed, including bars, gyms, cinemas, event centers, and nightclubs. In terms of additional information, the public are advised to visit our website and social media platforms for complete guidelines and other information. This is the https:/statehouse.gov.ng/COVID-19, or the social media platforms at DIGI COMS, COMMSNG. We appeal to Nigerians to continue to comply with our guidelines, to please remain vigilant and not allow fatigue to set in. Let us continue to protect ourselves, our loved ones, and our community from COVID-19. Let us stay safe and stay alive. Thank you.